Hey guys, today we're in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 20. We're in this fifth section in the book of Deuteronomy concerning the civil laws, or how the nation of Israel shall act among themselves and others. We start out today with simply the laws of warfare. God is going to tell them how they should move forward as a nation against other nations. Remember, as they are moving in or preparing to move into the promised land is not just an open place. It is a place full of many nations, many armies, many civilizations, and they're going to have to fight for what God has given them. And so God gives them some rules on how they should fight. He first starts off and it says, if you move in and see horses, chariots, and an army larger than your own, you shall not be afraid. Israel, even though they're about 2 million or plus at this time, they're still a small nation. It's still a small group of people. And so as they're coming into the battle, they are always one of the smaller sides. And so God is just saying, when you come in and you see a larger army, don't be scared. Why should they not be scared? Because the Lord God is with you. And when you come up against them, the priest shall come forward and speak to his people. And this is amazing. When they come to war, right, and they're getting ready, they see the army. The priest comes before all of the army, all of the men, and he asks some questions. Which one of you? Let's see. He says, which one of you has built a new house and not dedicated it? You can go back. Which one of you has planted a vineyard but hasn't harvested? You can go back. Which one of you is betrothed and hasn't married? You can go back. Which one of you is fearful and fainted? You should go back. So just imagine the picture here. As Israel is lining up, getting ready for war, the first thing that happens is they make their army smaller. It's just unbelievable, right? Unbelievable. Every other civilization would put a sword in every boy, every man, no matter their age, hand. And here, God does the opposite. He says, which one of you are ready to fight? Which one of you ready to have faith in me? Which one of you is ready to go forward in the name of Yahweh? And that's the question here. And so all the people who weren't, God lets go back and lives, because he would rather have a few faithful than a lot unfaithful. And we can see that the fighting is not up to man. The fighting is always up to the Lord. And so God doesn't care if there's 20,000, 40,000, or 100,000. Because God is the power, and he keeps reminding them, do not fear, do not let your heart be faint, do not panic, do not be in dread of them. I go before you, I fight for you, I will give you the victory. All of this was the Lord's battle. This wasn't Israel's battle. Israel just needed to have faith in the Lord. And so that's exactly what happens. And so after they get their army, their smaller army together, the first thing they do is they go draw near to a city and they offer terms of peace. There's no reason to fight unnecessarily. They come up to a city and a city that says, absolutely, we don't want to fight you, we give up. Well, there's no reason to fight. There's no reason for people to die. It says that if they do that, then you can take them as slaves in a workforce. They shall be with it. But if they don't give them peace, if they start warring against you, then God says to besiege it. Right? Think about all the cities or have a wall around them, right? They would be a walled city. And so besieging, it means going against that wall, climbing over that wall, destroying that wall so they can get into that city. And when you do get in that city, you are to put all the males to the sword. You are to kill every male. But the women, the little ones, the livestock, everything else in the city, and all of its spoils, you, Israel, can take for plunder as yourself. So you can take them as slaves. You can take the gold, the clothes, whatever you want. It's your reward. But that's not true of every city. And so that's what God says. But in the cities of these peoples that the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance, So you see that word inheritance, we'd say as a land. If God's giving you this land, if you're going to fight somebody in the promised land, and these are the Hittites, the Amorites, the Canaanites, the Perizzites, the Hivites, and the Jebusites, God says, devote them to complete destruction. Kill everyone. Animals, men, women, children, destroy them all. And you would think, man, Sean, that's so mean. Why would a good God destroy kids? They have nothing to do with it. Well, they've been raised up in a culture. Why would he destroy women? They've been raised up in a culture, and God tells them that the reason, verse 18, why should they destroy everyone? That they may not teach you to do according to their abominable practices that they have done for their gods, and so you sin against the Lord your God. He's destroying all of the enemy to protect his own children, to protect Israel. Because if he leaves the kids alive, the kids come in and they've been raised one way. They've ate certain foods. They worship certain things. They have it in their culture. And now Israelite parents will want to help them feel normal, and those kids will lead those parents into worship. So you can't keep the kids. Well, what if we just keep the women? Well, the women have been involved in many temple practices, occult practices, sexual practices. Most of that worship is sexual worship. And so now they're going to come into Israelite men and families and just give that up? No, absolutely not. The bad apple always spoils the bunch. And so God says, wipe them all out so that he can keep Israel as close to holy as he can. Now we will see Israel won't listen to these rules. And Israel will go far away from God. But this is the reason. When you besiege a city for a long time, making war against it and order it, you shall not destroy its trees. Now, when you read this, you might think, man, that's kind of a weird verse to put in there, right? But think about what happens. There's a city, right? Cities don't build next to each other. They build way out, kind of on the borders, on hills. They have places. And so there would be huge country, farmland, woods around cities for protection and for food for the people living in the city. And it says when you come into a city and you're besieging it for a long, long time, it's taking a long time, which means Israel is camping around the city. Well, they're going to need things. They're going to need food. They're going to need fire. They're going to need wood for instruments and implements and tools and all these things. He says that when you're camped out in a city and you're scourging around for everything that you need, don't cut down the trees. And what happens is God's just looking at the long term. If they were besieging a city and they cut down all of the trees, all of the food, all of the crops around it, when they took this city and they want to live in that city, what happens? That city will starve to death. They need the trees for food, for shade, for water, for all types of things, right? So God's just giving them a long-term view of saying, you will get into that city. When you do, you need to make sure there's enough food around there that you can survive if you want to live in that city, right? So he's giving them a long-term fare. Don't wipe out the land in which you hope that you will live in. And so that is chapter 20. And you would come in and you would say, man, where is Jesus in this? Well, I think we plainly see Jesus in several places, but one of the easiest is that priest coming before the army. Which one of you are faithful? Which one of you trusts me? Which one of you are ready to follow me? Jesus did that with his disciples. He sat down at the Last Supper and Peter said, I would follow you to the ends of the earth. And he said, tonight you'll deny me 3 times. Peter, are you faithful? And that's why after the resurrection, he sits down with Peter on the shore as he's fixing him breakfast. And he says, do you love me? Do you love me? Do you really love me? Are you faithful? Do you trust me? Are you willing to follow me? Because I only want the people who are faithful to follow me. If you're not faithful, it's worthless to follow me. It's only those who have faith in me that will get the benefit of following me. So I hope that makes a little bit more sense, and we will see you tomorrow in chapter 21. God bless.